Who's with the Federalist, Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, David Gergen, CNN senior political analyst, and Anna Marie Cox, senior political correspondent for TV News. So first off, I'm just kind of wondering, watching Ted Cruz this morning with his Texas delegation, show of hands, who thinks Ted Cruz, explaining that this was personal, he's irked with Trump that he threw his wife and his dad under the bus, who thinks Cruz is walking away looking good? Show of hands.
Well, this is a Rashomon question.
Yeah?
This is like a Rashomon question. This is like who, it's not...
I'm not trying to do verbal jiu-jitsu with you.
No, but I personally think he looks good, but that's because I have a opinion that standing up to Donald Trump is a good thing. But people here, I'm not sure if they think, I think Trump would tell you he embarrassed himself.
Before we get to Trump thoughts, why do you think maybe he looks...
Well, because I think this
strong.
There are many, this is a divided party.
Yeah.
And the idea that it was going to get papered over and solved here, I thought was false from the beginning.
Yeah.
There are real divisions. There's a real group of people in that arena that liked him standing up to Donald Trump. There's another group of people who are on the fence who are saying, I don't know how to say no to this. And he's saying, here's the way. And so I think to me, it looks like some courage. And I think they're down the road when we look back and say, what does this party actually stand for when it comes to character and when it comes to values? It's not just personal. It's about the fact that this is a man who crosses the line in many, many ways and does not do the bare minimum to make up for it by just asking for an endorsement, for instance.
Well, I want to actually point out that this is actually all personal. There's actually no policy on the table here at all. If you'll notice, he didn't single out a single policy issue, either last night or this morning, that he disagrees with Trump on. In fact, when they campaigned, all of the arguments were over personality.
He basically talked about his wife and his dad.
Yeah. I was at the breakfast.
Right.
I was the speaker before Ted Cruz got on. I watched the whole thing unfold before me. I've never seen anything like this. That is an 80% Ted Cruz room. These are red Texas delegates, all with their cowboy hats and everything else. After last night, that room had switched the other way. You had Cruz in that room who were really, really upset. The drama in that room tells a lot about what's going on in the party, but the key thing there was not about the policy disagreements, just as you said. There's a protocol to all this, and they felt like they got bamboozled by a guy they love and respect, and I love and respect him too, and they felt like they're out there making the case for Trump, even though they don't know Trump that well, and they want their senator to be there with them.
I want to come back to you. Hold on. Let me go to David Gergen just for a second.
Listen, I think he's perfectly reasonable to be angry about the attack, Ted Cruz, about the attacks on his wife and the attacks on his father. They were totally gratuitous. Shouldn't have happened. But you know what? If he was going to come here and be disloyal to his party, disloyal to the cause why so many people are here, he should have stayed home. He could just have stayed home. He didn't
his whole brand is being disloyal to the party. That's what he's been doing.
No, wait a second. But the purpose of this convention is to help Republicans win the election in November. That's the sole purpose of this convention. And for him to come in here and tear apart the third night and cause this more discord only sets back that cause.
Do you think, or do you know, did the Trump campaign, they invited him, they invited any of them, to come on. One theory out there, did they orchestrate the booze?
No.
No, they didn't orchestrate the booze.
They're claiming to have.
No.
Clear it up. Clear it up first,
look,
and then I want to follow up with you.
Has this campaign been as maniacal about checking everything that's going to go on the stage? No, we already know that, right? They've had a little more of a laissez-faire attitude, which I actually think is pretty good. They knew what Ted Cruz was going to do in his speech. They knew that
he saw the speech.
They knew it was an open question as to whether the endorsement was going to happen.
Right.
And I think it was good of them to still allow him to have his moment. And I think for much of the speech, I think the Cruz people, good people, hell of a great campaign. They wrote a speech that they thought would really showcase our conservative values. And they did it. It was a great speech. They really had that whole room. They had that room so excited about the speech
standing ovation
that they built up the expectations that, oh my God, it really is going to happen. And then when it fell off the cliff and it swerved, the crowd got confused. And so those weren't Trump boos. I was in that crowd. Those were not Trump boos. That was kind of universal boos because they were so shell-shocked by what
about, though, also, then you see, if you're watching it on television, you see cut to, Donald Trump sort of off to the side, thumbs up. What was that? Was that orchestrated? Was he ready to pop up, knowing what the speech was or wasn't?
He was going to come out and sit in the family box for Eric's speech, but I don't know if they knew exactly what Ted Cruz would be saying from the stage. What surprised me, I give Ted Cruz credit. He stuck to that script mostly. He had one little phrase in there in the beginning that Newt Gingrich reiterated. He stuck to the script no matter how bad it got. The guy's tough. The only problem is he didn't perceive what was happening in the hallway, and I think he really hurt himself by just trudging through and being so tone deaf.
Go ahead, Mary Catherine. In a normal year, the purpose of a convention is to help the party win, and put on your jersey and get out there and win.
Yeah.
The central question for this party is win at what cost?
Right.
And Ted Cruz has decided that this is his line. And further, when you invite somebody to a party and they come and everybody says, well, then don't throw the drinks on the table.
Right.
It's rude. Well, he sent him a letter saying this is what I'm going to do. And the Trump campaign, this is indicative of a problem with the campaign, did not say, hey, maybe take an earlier
Can I just
slot.
say one thing, Brooke? It's not just win at what cost. It's lose at what cost. And that's what really upsets these delegates. We can have this whole conversation about who would be the best nominee, but we did that already.
I do think that, oh boy, gosh,
who
knows what's going to happen tonight. I mean, I think the thing is,
he shouldn't get down there.
He shouldn't.
He shouldn't, but so I was talking to someone, a Republican operative, who told me that he thinks tonight's going to be Festivus, the errands of grieving, the errands of grievances and the show's strength. Yeah. You know, like that's what's going to be on stage tonight. And I think that, oh man, like teleprompter Trump is not very compelling, right? And he hates being on the teleprompter. My interest is if he's going to like...
It may be a little bit of both. That's what Michael Cohen, that's what the attorney was saying. A little bit of teleprompter, a little bit of
And I wonder what kind
impromptu.
of ad-libs we're going to get.
Or how about Scott Walker, who memorized a lot of his speech. It looked like it was ad-libbed. It was a wonderful speech.
Wait,
I wonder if Trump's going to do...
Sure.
I mean, it was okay, but like he's not.
Final thought. David Gergen, for you. We gotta go.
They're gonna sit down and coach on what he's going to say. Of course he'll make some remarks. I don't think he's going to go down. He doesn't want to reopen this tonight. This is a much bigger speech, much bigger forum.
Is there a big surprise tonight? I mean, there was plagiarism, there was lock her up, there was the Cruz booze. What's tonight?
I think the surprise ought to be that he's turned into a presidential candidate.
Yes, well, that would be a surprise.
All right. Yeah. On that, thank you so much to all of you very, very much. You're not going anywhere, by the way, because we have more to talk about with this New York Times interview with Mr. Trump.